Welcome to Death Holler. Do you like scary movies? Welcome to Season 3, Slash or Pass. There will be laughter, tears, tender moments,
Jason, my special boy.
but most of all, screams. Remember, when you're in Death Holler, listener discretion is always advised. We hope you have a killer time.
Well, here we are again.
Yes, back into the holler.
It's been a little bit. How's things been going?
Pretty good. I mean, it's starting to get spooky around here. People have really been taking on the Halloween season.
Yeah, I used to get mad at people for like making Christmas a thing, even before Halloween was out. But I don't know how I feel about people making Halloween a thing on July 5th, which is what the current trend is.
Yeah. The stuff is getting out in the stores, and I think that it's smart for the stores because they could just have it come out in October or, September, maybe end of August, and do the usual, but they're going to be making money off of this. And hey, whatever stimulates the economy, I don't see anybody with anything out, but people are definitely preparing. And maybe it's a thing because COVID fucked us up. I don't know about you, but shit was hard to find. And you know me, I'm a freak for finding Halloween stuff.
Well, I think that's part of it. I don't know. It's one of those things that it's also like, I think the second biggest holiday for spending outside of Christmas.
Not Valentine's?
I don't think it's Valentine. I mean, if you wouldn't have throw in like the cost of rings and stuff, but I mean, just pure like every store having some kind of sales from it.
Oh my God.
I want to say that it's Halloween because they all get in it on it at some point.
Yeah, and Halloween deserves it. She deserves to shine. She's a bright, shiny star, and she needs to be seen. So, yeah.
Yeah, Spirit Halloween's already up and at it with like the $100 popcorn gun from
yes,
from Killer Clowns, which is amazing, and it actually works apparently. Yes. Like if you put popcorn in it.
Wait! What? I don't know what I was thinking when you said popcorn gun, but I don't remember that in the movie.
It's what the clowns carry around whenever they're seeding the area with the little clown babies that, come out of the popcorn and, like eggs or what. It's like they're like bugs or something that come out of the popcorn.
Okay, so yes, I've seen the gun. It was $79 last year. I believe I messaged it to you and I showed you a video of me shooting it, but I didn't know it actually shot popcorn. And I would say for that price, if it's actually does what it's supposed to do, that's worth it.
I mean, maybe it was out last year. I know everybody that I follow on like YouTube that talks about that kind of stuff, they brought it up as being like the big release for this year, like the newest one. So maybe they had one last year that was just, it made sounds or something, but this one actually shoots. Okay. I don't know.
That would make sense. It actually shoots popcorn. So yes.
But yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's already out there. HHN's full steam. They're, they've announced everything for both places. I didn't know I know you're not going, but I didn't know if you'd kept up with Hollywood and saw what they were introducing for that.
Yes. So I've seen Evil Dead Rise, which I'm a little sad about that one. I wanted to see that.
There's a lot of people that go to Orlando that are salty that Hollywood got that because.
Oh yeah.
Because Orlando got The Exorcist Believer, and everybody's just kind of like about that. So.
I'm gonna be real honest with you. I would be salty too because we've seen the previews for Exorcist Believer,
Yeah, well, I think the reason was that Hollywood got Evil Dead Rise over Orlando was the fact that we're Hollywood left that entire display up that they had from last year, which was that that haunted hotel, which is what it was originally going to be anyways, was Evil Dead Rise. They already had it set up, so all they had to do is just, they had to just retheme it.
That's awesome.
Whereas Orlando actually uses their sound stages, so they had to clear out Hellblock, and so now it's like it's a summer Yeti thing, which is actually one of the ones people are looking most forward to. But they didn't have the setup remaining, and they just didn't want to rebuild what they had, so they were like, "Fuck it, we're going with The Exorcist." So
yeah, we still have The Exorcist. It looks like so. The Terror Tram is called Exterminators. It looks dumb, and Terror Tram sucked.
It's based upon bugs from last year. It looks like. I mean, it really has a vibe from Orlando's Bugs house that they had.
Yeah, which a house might be cool, but the way these heathens are running around the back lot while you're, just walking through this, it's the same maze every time, but they barely do anything to you. Like when it was what can I think right now? It was
the Purge.
The Purge. They fucking scared you through that entire experience, and it was so fun. So, I don't know. We still have Stranger Things. We do have The Exorcist. It says Exorcist Believer for... It says that for Hollywood.
Yeah, Hollywood's getting it too, and that's I think that's the other reason why people are salty in Orlando about it, because I think there's actually more IP houses out in Hollywood this year, and they did like the 5 and 5, original / IPs, down in Orlando, which actually is better for Orlando because some of their original houses are fantastic.
Yes. Yes. Orlando kills it when it comes to the original homes. At least it seems like it from my perspective. And that's just me from the outside thinking that looks cool. And then hearing it from everyone how amazing it was. And it's like, well, fuck, if just the advertisement alone for them looks amazing.
Yeah, the Dead Man's Pier last year was, one of the best things I ever saw. So I'm looking. They said this year they've put every bit of that same effort into one called Dueling Dragons, which is actually a ride. It was actually a ride they used to have in one of their parks, Islands of Adventure, that got replaced with Hagrid's motorbike.
Okay.
Ride or
which
whatever.
Fucking looks sick as fuck.
Yeah, it's a pretty damn good ride too. So, but it's actually got. There's the way they've designed it. There's actually 2 ends to the house. Like it splits off halfway through, and you have to make your choice which way you go. And then when you get to the end of that, there's 2 endings per, trail.
Choose your own adventure.
So there's actually 4 different endings you can see based upon when you go through the house, which is really neat.
That's fucking sick. See, that makes it worth going through multiple times. Sometimes you want to go through multiple times just to get the full experience. The things that you may have missed while you were covering your eyes, because I don't know who would do that, but I'm not judging. But for that, but also to get multiple endings, that's fucking sick.
Yeah, it's pretty neat concept. I like the fact that they've included that, and all their original houses are tied through a theme of Dr. Oddfellow. That's another thing that Orlando does that Hollywood doesn't. They have these icons that they have, like Jack the Clown, Chance. This one is Dr. Oddfellow. He's actually the one, according to the new lore they've come out with, who actually gave Jack immortality by accident, and that's the reason Jack the Clown can come back so often, because Dr. Oddfellow, who ran the circus, he did all these dark dealings, and he discovered immortality. So they've got that tied into all the scare zones and all the original houses this year down in Orlando.
We also have okay, so we all know about fucking Evil Dead Rise. Woohoo. Not Evil Dead Rise, excuse me, The Last of Us. That's old news now. Chucky Ultimate Kill Count. Are you guys getting that too?
We are, and actually that was down at the bottom of my list when they said it was Chucky, and then whenever they announced actually what it's going to be about, it shot near the top as far as what I want it to be, because it's a meta house. Like they wanted Chucky, according to the lore, they made up a house for Chucky, and they invited him, the character, to and in particular, this is Orlando's down there to see it. He went inside the house, thought it was lame, and so he started killing everybody and using it for his own personal kill house. So it's a house that, you know, it's a haunted house that Chucky has taken over outside of the haunted house part of it. So it's kind of got a neat little meta narrative to it.
Yeah. I mean, that might be cool because I wasn't super excited for it. Just, I don't know. They've been building up Chucky at Hollywood for fucking ever. And it's like finally getting, it's like, bro, you've been talking about this for years, it feels like, and now it's finally happening, but it's, I don't know. I don't know why I'm not excited for it. I'm excited for Monsters Unmasked. That's one of ours.
Yeah, they're getting that in Orlando too, and it's set in the French catacombs, which sounds amazing.
Ooh, yes. Oh, fucking, I want to go so bad. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, Phantom of the Opera, and The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Which, whew, yeah. Evil Dead Rise, we talked about that already. I'm not excited for this one. Monsters of Latin America, which, I mean,
that's the one that I was wondering if you'd be excited for, because I've never heard of these creatures.
I haven't either.
When they say Latin America, I think the witch, whatever her name is. Yeah. That one might be from like the Mexico region, but it sounds like some of the others are from like South America.
Yes, and that's obviously perfectly acceptable. We're talking about Latin America. La Muerte, when I think of La Muerte, I think of Salma Hayek when she was in the Book of Life.
Okay.
I mean, it's basically like, it's death, but it's a very beautiful, sexy death. So who knows what she looks like. It starts off with ten cuidado, which 10 in Spanish can mean multiple things. Like if you say te cuidado, it's be careful. Oh, no, not be careful. Ten cuidado means be careful. But te cuidado means I'll take care of you. The fucking Spanish is a fucking language, y'all, okay? This is why I don't speak it fluently. And I know you're probably like, well, Rita, you knew that. Yeah, Google it. I mean, like, I know some things from my grandma, but I guarantee you Google's going to be very fucking similar to what I just said. So let me see. Scream Squad. You and your Scream Squad goals, must try to survive the terrifying legends, the blood-sucking. I can't even pronounce that. Tapuchi? I don't know. Owl-faced witch La Lechuza. Never heard of her. And bone-ripping Al Sibon. So, never fucking heard of them. Like, no, not even a chupacabra. Not even a choopy, you know? No chupa chup. There's so much more. I don't know.
I find it, and I know that the one witch, the La Chuza or whatever you said, has to be from Mexico, because that's why I sent you that TikTok. Apparently, there's a thing down there where they think owls are witches, and they're definitely afraid of them.
I mean, not from Mexico, obviously, but I never fucking heard of that either. I did not know that. My grandma has never been afraid of an owl. Is this something new? I have no idea.
Here's the thing. In Appalachia, there's folklore about owls, and it's that if they fly inside of your house during the daytime, which is very abnormal, then someone in your household will die. That's the lore in Appalachia.
Or, and hear me out, an owl flies into your home. Actually, I did see one of the TikToks that it's a Appalachian Indian man. He looks Mexican to me. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I thought he was Hispanic of sorts. He had an owl, or he did a video where the owl flied into his house, and then they were praying to get it out or something like that, chanting or whatever. But like, how about an owl flies into your house during the daytime? Maybe it's in danger. Maybe it's being hunted.
Well, I mean, it could be that, but I mean, it's like one of those things, if they're perfectly healthy and they fly and they land and they just kind of stand there, that's supposed to be like a harbinger for like death or something. So that's the lore.
Definitely. I could see that. I don't want to ruin that, but you know me, I'd be like, oh, look at the baby. Holidays in Hell. I was excited for that one previously already.
Yeah, that one is a return. Like that, there's the people out at Hollywood are disappointed with that one because they said it's been there like 2 or 3 times already.
Well, it hasn't been there any of the times that I've been there. So
yeah, I know. That's one of those things. It's where like Halloween last year at Orlando, like I never saw the original house, and apparently this was the best version of that anyways. and I just I got to see it for the first time. So I'm like, yeah, I'm cool with that.
Okay, yeah. See, and it works for some people. I think people need to calm down. If I saw Chucky 2 times in a row, I'd probably be pissed. I guess because we feel like we need to get the most out of the money that we're spending, and it's like, well, I've already fucking seen that, you know?
Yeah, that's what I feel like. There's a show in Orlando called Nightmare Fuel, which is basically hot dudes and ladies in like leather, and there's fire going on, and they're doing like these sexy dances, and plus, you know, like doing stuff like on these rings that are like up above the stage. And all
yeah.
That. It's fine, but the thing is like they don't really change the show. So like when I saw it announced again this year, I'm just like, you got to be fucking kidding me, please.
Yeah.
New show. I've saw it twice already.
I just hope they get rid of the Jabberwockies. I'm like, I don't understand that.
But yeah, I don't know. It's shaping up to be a pretty cool event. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
and
I still want to go. We're not going to go. I still have the room on reserve that we booked. So, you know, hoping that there's a chance, but I doubt it. So fucking blows.
Maybe later in the season, you all get a wild hair, and it's just like, you know, it's middle October. Let's fucking do this.
We still got the room. Let's go. I am hoping. I'm hanging on by a thread. It's probably not, though. We'll see. But scary movies are, they're out. We're already seeing them.
There's a new one out right now that I've not seen yet because we were wanting to watch it this weekend, and we just didn't get a chance to because it was booked up everywhere.
Wow.
It's the last voyage of the Demeter, which is it's basically, for anybody that doesn't know, in Bram Stoker's Dracula, there's like a transition section in the book where Dracula leaves Transylvania. He hops on a ship, or he has his casket in his body and placed on a ship, and that's how he gets to England, where, you know, Mina and, like, you know, and the rest of society is at. And all it says is that whenever the ship, like, you know, gets to England, it kind of floats into the dock. Everybody on the ship is dead and completely drained of blood. And then, you know, and it's like a ghost ship, and that's all you know about the ship.
Okay.
They took that and made them, like, they filled in the gaps of the story. It's like the people are trapped on the ship with Dracula, and how, you know, what happened to them is what the movie's about.
Yeah, that actually sounds legit.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. I heard it's a slow burn, which I know you're not fond of. But,
I'm half asleep during the first part of the movie.
Well, somebody actually said this movie's perfect for sleeping because they said it's dark. They said there's not a lot of action, and, you know, it just kind of goes from there. But I've heard a lot of good things from people who don't mind a little bit of a slow burn. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Talk to Me recently came out, which is an Australian horror film from A24. That is a legit good movie. Like,
really? You're the first person I've heard that has said something good about that movie.
I mean, everybody that I follow on YouTube is hyping it up. Like, I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's one of those ones that it's not super scary. At least to me, it wasn't. I know some people are like super freaked out about possession type stuff, but it's not demon possession. So if that's your thing that freaks you out, it's not that. These are spirits. They're ghosts. And it's played up like, you know, like how kids do stupid little party games, you know, that they shouldn't be doing just to, you know, pass the time or whatever. It's even more so Gen Z based because they're all filming it. It's like, we've got this hand that's supposedly the, you know, like the porcelain encased desiccated hand of like a medium who passed away. And if you grab the hand and give it the instructions, talk to me, then a spirit appears in front of you. And then, you know, of course, they're filming the reaction of the person seeing the spirit. And the spirits are like in Beetlejuice. However they died, that's how they appear. So if it's really gruesome, then they're going to be really gruesome. And then there's the second part of it where you say, I invite you into me or something. And that's yeah. And so these kids are stupid, and they're doing this for laughs because, you know, like, for instance, there's one scene in the movie where a perverted spirit, somebody who was very perverted in life, is invited into the body, and they're just sitting there making like these, like, you know, like sitting there licking at the other people, and they're like rubbing themselves, and they're making fun of them because, you know, it's almost like, I don't like in the old days, if you were actually able to do hypnosis on somebody and all the stupid shit that you
Yeah.
can get them to do, that's what this is, but with a spirit controlling the body.
Yes.
And so that's the gist of the movie, but they've got rules. Like if you, and I don't know where they came up with these rules. I guess enough people died previously to figure this out, which is a scary statement. But if you go for longer than 90 seconds, the spirit can take total control of you. So they time it whenever they start doing this to see, you know, like how long you've been under possession.
Yeah.
The other thing is if you die while you're possessed, the spirit uses your body from then on out. It's theirs. So
Wonderful.
that's another, you know, rule in the movie, and it goes from there.
So how do you stop it then? Like obviously it's timed, but who is like, okay, time's up? Like
there's a phrase that they can get that they I think, well, no, actually what they can do is they pry the hand away from the body. When they do that, it severs the connection.
Okay.
The problem is that one of the main characters in the movie lost her mother, so feeds into
I
it.
saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a point in the movie, I mean, where a spirit claiming to be her mother, you know, hops into somebody, and then it goes from there. So, I mean, you know, that's where the movie's set up.
Yeah.
It's just like a lot of the other A24 movies. It's not really, I mean, it's got the scares if you're scared of that stuff. I wasn't scared by them, but it's A24 is all about like the human drama behind all this stuff.
Yes.
And it's more about the girl's, you know, like her grief and her inability to let her mom rest in her mind, because her mom, I mean, and they reveal this in the movie, her mom died of suicide. So like she can't get over that, you know?
Yeah.
So it's more about her, you know, inability to let her mom's memory, you know, go, more than it, you know, it tied into all this other stuff about the spirits.
Yeah.
And it has a hell of an ending to it. I'm not going to ruin that at all. But the ending, whenever I saw, I was like, "Oh shit! Oh, okay! Like this is perfect." And they're already talking about a part 2.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to recall what I've heard about it. I think people kind of took the movie as a joke more than anything. Like, oh, this wasn't very good. Maybe they didn't think it was super scary. Maybe they didn't understand. You know. Interesting. Okay. Because I wasn't going to watch it.
That's what I'm saying. Like the scares for me weren't there as much because the people in the movie are not taking the scare seriously, because it's a joke until it isn't, you know, in the movie. You know, even whenever they see these horrible people, it's a party game. It's like, oh fuck, look what I just saw. That person's missing an eyeball. High five. You know,
yeah.
It's one of those things. But I related it to somebody else in this way. It's like if you were in a bunch of people were at a party and you were drinking, and then somebody on the way home was drunk driving and they caused total fucking chaos. Mm-hmm. The movie's about the aftermath of the chaos.
Okay.
So that's what the movie's about. I mean, so they're getting high. They're getting high on their own supply during the possession stuff, but then they fuck around and then they find out.
Sappho.
I also watched Kronos, which was Guillermo del Toro's first movie. It's kind of a vampire movie. I'd been meaning to see it for years, but I finally sat down to watch it. It's really good. I mean, you can see how he became the director he became later on and the creative type that he is. It's got a really neat story, like I heard him talking about it, and he's right. Like, he doesn't make monsters that are just like evil. He makes sympathetic monsters. Yeah. And so the old man, who is actually the old man that was in The Devil's Backbone, you know, the old doctor that was, you know, impotent and couldn't satisfy his lady who was cucking him with the younger guy. He's actually the main star in the movie, and he happens upon this device that was like from this alchemist from an ancient time that's supposed to give you immortality, and it basically turns you into a vampire. And like it follows him, and like, I mean, you feel, I mean, and he's a nice guy. He's a loving grandpa. He's got a little granddaughter named Aurora that like he always has around him. So I mean, it's you watching him kind of devolve into this monster, but he's still got morals about him. So
Wow. Interesting.
it's and it doesn't really have a whole lot of makeup effects until the end of the movie, but they really make him kind of creepy because like whenever he dies at one point in the movie, and the device resurrects him, like the device doesn't resurrect him perfectly, so he's got rotting flesh at that point on in the movie, so it looks pretty creepy.
Oh my God. And Guillermo del Toro, again, white as can be, from Mexico. Again, folks, they make us in that color.
And then I watched the original Hills Have Eyes from Wes Craven, and that I wasn't going to watch this ever because I remember watching Alexander Aja's version of it, which is the remake.
Yes.
And it's got a brutal rape scene in that movie. I was so
I thought it was the
uncomfortable.
second one that has the brutal rape scene.
No, it's the first one because they catch them inside the RV and it's prolonged. You hear the screaming. They don't cut away from it. The original's different. They don't show it.
Okay.
And they cut away from it. It's more tolerable that way. I enjoyed it because like it still had, this evil clan of, cannibalistic, mutants or whatever living out in the desert. Yeah, basically. And then it still had the surviving regular folk turning, basically feral and getting the revenge on them.
Yeah.
So it still has that satisfying revenge arc, but it's campier. Don't get me wrong on that, but it's easier to watch than the newer one because the new one's brutal.
I had a hard time with the new one. I don't remember the rape scene. Oh, I wonder if maybe there was a rape scene too in the second one.
Oh, I'm sure there is.
Because the second one, wasn't it the military people in the second one?
Yes.
Okay. And yeah, I guess a girl gets trapped and Noah's like, yep, she gets the dick of doom. Nonstop, over and over.
But it's a regular family in the first one.
Yeah.
And the guy, and it, just like in the original, the guy goes to rescue his baby and, he has to make his way into the mutants camp or whatever. But it's really good. And the Doom Prophet in it is one of my favorite Doom Prophets I've ever seen because he's the reason for the Doom. He's the grandpappy to the mutants, and he gives this big speech about how he should have killed his son whenever he saw that he was a mutant, but he didn't, and now they're gonna cause hell for everybody. So it's got a real nice Doom Prophet moment in it too.
Good Lord.
But I recommend it, and then hearing like Wes Craven and the rest of them talk about the movie it was amazing. Like it was on the special features. Wes Craven had it was like one of his first, he'd done The Last House on the Left, but this was like his very first movie that he was like really doing on his own. And like all the people were talking about it, about how educated and nice, because that's the thing. Wes Craven was like super nice, despite the fact and very quiet and shy, even though like, to watch his movies and see what kind of shit went on in them, you wouldn't think that.
Yeah.
But like he was talking about when him and the producer went scouting for locations on where to film it at, they almost got trapped out in the desert during the summer in 120-degree heat without anything to drink.
Oh my God.
They went out there and they were told like by somebody, it's like, you're an idiot if you go out there at this time of year. And it's like, we'll be fine. We'll take some water. They barely took anything with them. And when they got back to the car, it didn't want to start.
Of course.
So, and then, later on, there's a few other things, talking about Michael Berryman, who plays like the main mutant in the movie, Pluto, that like, is always on the cover. Like he's got the misshapen head and like just a really nice guy himself and like very educated. So, it's just interesting to hear the people, talking about the movie and like all the shit that went on. They were filming in the desert. So, it was. And they said it was actually worse during the night than it was during the day because it was so cold that they were like freezing,
Oh, yeah. And they weren't allowed to shower. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Well, that was the other thing is it was raining some of those nights. So it was raining and cold on top of it. So they were having to deal with all that misery while they were trying to get some of the scenes.
Yeah. Ugh.
But I don't know. It's a candidate for human horror for sure because that's what it is. But like I said, that new one, I don't know if I'll rewatch it for the podcast. But man, is that brutal! Like it's way more brutal than the original.
I think that's human horror, huh?
Yeah, it is. But anyways, I hear some people at the door, so let's let them in.
Let's do it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Death Holler. I am your host, the Reverend Dr. Death, and joining me as always is the camp counselor you don't want to piss off, La Urena. How are things around the camp, Urena?
Not good. The kids are having sex again, and that's how I lost my firstborn. So, it's not going well. Not for the kids, anyways.
You're having a grand old time, though, right?
Yes, collecting the souls of these heathens, It's perfect.
Well, it's hot, y'all. The last summer is going out like a lion, and we thought it was the perfect occasion to visit a few summer slashers that aren't as well known. The selection we have for you this episode is an eclectic mix. There's a B-movie classic that would probably be canceled if it was made today, a horror comedy set in a tropic locale, and finally a French horror classic from the early 2000s that is criminally underseen and underappreciated. So get out the bug spray, gather around the campfire, and join us as we discuss Sleepaway Camp, Club Dread, and High Tension. But first, if you're enjoying the podcast, we'd appreciate it if you could take the time to like, comment, and subscribe on whatever podcast platform you prefer. Helps us get more visibility on podcast listings and helps us grow. Also, consider following us on social media. You can find us on TikTok and Twitter under Death Holler Pod, and we can be found on Instagram and Facebook under Death Holler Podcast. We appreciate everyone who listens and hope you enjoy the show. First up, Sleepaway Camp from 1983.
Reverend, real quick, I need to go see what's happening downstairs. It's
Okay.
loud. I'll be right back.
All right.
My heathen-ass demon dogs have decided that they can wake the campers up if they just bark their asses off. And they'll get fed if they do that. And the campers are feeding them. So, vicious cycle.
Vicious cycle. First up, we have Sleepaway Camp from 1983. Tagline, you'll go there on a bus and you'll come back in a bag.
I mean, it fits.
Directed by Robert Hiltzik. Also written by Robert Hiltzik. Music by Edward Balus. Budget of $350,000, so a very low budget film.
Whoa.
Made $11 million.
Fucking shit.
This was a box office success.
No wonder. How many did they make after this?
There was at least 4, and then I think there was one maybe like remake recently too or something.
Oh my God. It killed it, literally.
Principal players, we have Felissa Rose playing Angela Baker, who is a traumatized survivor and freaky kid.
Freaky in many ways.
She was obviously in Return to Sleepaway Camp, which is the newest one that they came out with. It had some of the principal people come back.
Okay.
Been in a ton of budget horror films otherwise because of her, infamous turn in this movie.
Yeah.
Murder Madness Mayhem, Wolf Hollow, which is actually a really good werewolf movie. Terrifier 2, she was in that. Teddy Told Me To. She's in The Last Drive-In as Joe Bob's special mangled dick expert.
Okay.
Victor Crowley, which is a pretty good. If we have time, we might try to cover the Hatchet movies. That's part of them.
Yeah.
Tales of Halloween, and like I said, just a lot of. If you look at her IMDb, it's just loaded with a lot of budget horror films. Jonathan Tiersten plays Ricky Thomas, Angela's cousin and protector in the movie. He was also in Return to Sleepaway Camp, The House That Wept Blood. I would never watch this movie even for zombie season. Toilet Zombie Baby Strikes Back.
What? Toilet Zombie Baby Strikes Back?
Yeah, that's a hell of a title. It paints an image, doesn't it?
Oh, my God.
The only thing I could think of just based upon that title is, some woman who didn't either realize she's pregnant or didn't want the baby, had the baby into the toilet, it turned into a zombie, and then it came out for revenge. I don't know. I'm just assuming. And then Blood Reservoir is another movie he was in. Desiree Gould plays Dr. Martha Thomas, Angela's eccentric aunt.
Ugh. Fuck, that bitch is annoying.
She was in another movie called Tales of Poe, but yeah, I agree with you. Like, she is really, she's almost as freaky as Angela in the movie.
Yeah. Well, Angela definitely gets it from her aunt. I think they did a really good job in terms of these are cousins. Like she was cousins with the boy who fucking Dr. Martha Thomas, her son. They had similarities, but not so much that they could be brother and sister. But Angela and Martha could be fucking mother and daughter. Yeah,
that's true. Dan Tersey plays John Baker, Angela's deceased father. James Paradise plays Lenny, John's gay boyfriend. This actually fairly progressive for the time that it was made in.
It really was.
Owen Hughes plays Artie, the pedophilic head cook.
Fucking he was grody.
Johnny Dunn plays Kenny, who mocks Angela as a freak in the movie, and he's also a great swimmer, according to everybody, but didn't help him. Yeah, let's be debated. Loris Derin plays Billy, who throws a water balloon at Angela, and it's Loris. It's Loris, I guess. You don't mess around with Angela. We'll get to that in a little bit. Catherine Cammey plays Meg, who's just a total bitch. Mm-hmm. She's a shit counselor, and she's a whore looking for a sugar daddy.
Yes.
And I don't know why you would pick the head of a camp as a sugar daddy, because there's not a lot of money there, but whatever. I mean,
pop off.
She's just been in a ton of TV, including The Ghost Whisperer of all things. Karen Fields plays Judy, Angela's bunkmate, Ricky's ex, and a total bitch as well. And she was actually in a short film called Judy, which is about the character after, or somehow like reimagined, if she had survived the movie. Mike Kellen plays Mel Kostick, the camp owner, a total pervert and a poor amateur investigator. He was in the Midnight Express and the Jazz Singer. And then finally, Christopher Collett plays Paul Collins, Ricky's BFF, Angela's suitor, and a very progressive dude for the time, considering how the movie ends.
Yeah.
He was in Prayer of the Roller Boys, The Langoliers. He was a voice actor on a ton of Pokemon movies and shows. Viva Pinata and Yu-Gi-Oh! So, like, the guy's done a lot of voice work.
Viva Pinata! It's been so long since I've played that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it has a connection to Sleepaway Camp, so there you go.
Oh, my God.
Synopsis. After a camp counselor makes the mistake and trusts a woman to drive a boat, a gay dad and one of his children are killed. Fast forward a few years, and the surviving child, Angela, is getting ready to go to summer camp with her cousin Ricky. After a pep talk from a clearly deranged doctor and Ricky's mom, the two kids end up at Camp Arawak. Camp Arawak, a place the health inspector avoids like the plague and where pedophiles go to retire. Bullies get got, bitches get hot, curling irons up their cooches, that is.
Ah, shut up.
And creepy old guys get shot in the neck with arrows. The camp's activity for today is murder.
And everyone is signed up to get murdered.
That's one of the taglines. That's actually not too bad either.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
Got a respectable body count, 12.
Woo.
But we're going to count 13 for Death Holler, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
John Baker gets killed by a speedboat from a dumb bitch. John Baker's child gets killed by a speedboat from a dumb bitch. Kenny is drowned in the lake. Billy is stung to death by bees.
Oh, God. Hold on, see if I got it. There it goes.
What is that? What is that? What is it? Oh, no, not the bees! Not the bees! Ah! Open my eyes!
Oh, I was so hoping for that to happen whenever we played that. I was like, they have the bees. I mean, it's perfect. Meg has her back slit open with a knife while she's taking a shower. Judy is penetrated with a hot curling iron. Young camper 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all found hacked to death with a hatchet. Old dirty male is shot with an arrow through the neck.
Old dirty bastard? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, old dirty bastard. Paul is decapitated. And it's not a kill, but it should have been. And headcanon for Death Holler is that the motherfucker died in the hospital. Artie is burned horrendously with boiling water.
Oh, yes. Yes.
There is nobody in any of these movies that will ever deserve a kill more than fucking Artie. I mean, maybe the killers themselves, but like of regular people that are not the killer. Ugh.
Yes. I feel like in a way that the two kids at the beginning of the movie, both of them died because they killed that little boy when they turned him into Angela.
That is true. That is true. But that's not very progressive of you to say that. So, but they do call it dead naming, so you're not wrong. It kind of did die. Quotes, Billy, eat shit and die, Ricky. And then Ricky responded, eat shit and live, Bill.
Yes, that was a good one.
Judy, she's a real carpenter's dream, flat as a board and needs a screw.
Okay, this movie is fucking wild.
Meg, if she were any quieter, she'd be dead. Artie, look at all those. Oh man, this is the worst line in any movie. Look at all the young fresh chicken. Well, where I come from, we call them baldies. Makes your mouth water, don't it? And then Ben, who is just as culpable and just as awful as Artie, in my opinion, for encouraging this shit.
Yeah.
Artie, they're too young to even understand what's on your mind. And then Artie's like, there ain't no such thing as being too young. You're just too old. And then he laughs. Ben laughs with him. I'm like, you fuckers need to die, like both of you. Angela, meet me at the waterfront after the social.
Yeah.
One of the few lines she has in the whole fucking movie.
Yes.
Like, I'm serious.
She doesn't talk much or except that or hi or how are you or I'm doing fine, blah, 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 you know.
Yeah. Aunt Martha. Oh, you're going to enjoy living with us so much. Yes, I know you are. It's a welcome home present. I bought you such wonderful new clothes. I just hope that Richard doesn't get jealous that I didn't get him anything. Oh, but then he is such a dear. I'm sure that he won't mind. You see, I've always wanted a little girl. But of course, when my husband left, oh, well, that's all water under the bridge, as I always say. Water under the bridge. But it certainly will be a nice little surprise when Richard comes home to find a little girl in the house. Yes, I've always dreamed of a little girl just like you.
Yeah.
There are parents that are alive today that are just like this character.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep that in mind. They're out there. And I end on that as far as the quotes, because that is the defining moment that turned this character into what she became, you know. So other taglines for the movie: Dear Mom and Dad, I've been at Sleepaway Camp for almost 3 weeks now, and I'm getting very scared. ...
Yeah, wasn't that? God, I saw that somewhere. Maybe I saw it when I was looking up the movie. So,
Someone is watching you. Someone is waiting for you. Someone wants to scare you to death. Literally.
Too long, didn't read.
You won't be coming home.
I mean, yeah. That hits hard when you're sending kids away to camp. That's one thing you're terrified of.
Yep. This one, I don't feel is true. Summer camp has never been so scary. I would argue that Jason has has that lockdown. So
yeah.
Nice try, Sleepaway Camp.
Cute.
A nice place for summer vacation. A perfect place to die.
That one's okay.
That one's pretty good.
I'll allow it.
This place puts the RIP in R&R.
No. That one, no.
And this one's just ridiculous. Carrie meets Friday the 13th.
Stop it. Quit trying to use the success of other films to uplift yours.
The funny thing is that Sleepaway Camp 2, which is probably the best of the sequels.
Really?
Yeah, it actually is. It's got some good kills in it, and the Angela in that one is totally off her fucking rocker.
Yeah, we saw it a little bit last night.
She's super religious for some reason now after her years of therapy or whatever. But like there's a scene in the movie where she's got both a hockey mask and Freddy's gloves.
Oh,
so
God.
So clearly they were,
they were going
knew what they were
that.
going for.
Isn't that the one too where like she basically says the government paid for her sex change? Or taxpayers did. Yes. And I'm like, oh my God. Like I'm like, it doesn't sound too far fetched from what we're turning into at this point.
It's pretty close, actually. It's kind of scary.
Yeah.
Visuals. The kills in this movie are not too bad visually. That scene with Artie in particular with the pus like from the blisters and stuff on his face, actually pretty well done. Especially if you look, they're actually bubbling up.
Yes.
Like they're pulsating.
I did see that. I was like, am I seeing what I'm seeing? His scream was fucking annoying though.
I enjoyed it because he deserved it.
He definitely deserved it, but I was tired of hearing him, so.
The scene with the arrow through the neck wasn't too bad. I mean, they did that pretty respectably.
Yeah.
The knife through Meg's back is actually not too bad either. I mean,
yeah, I mean okay. First off, what the fuck was she humming? Second, what was she washing? Wasn't even washing her tits. She was watching like the area between her neck and her tits only. Bitch, if that's what you washing, you dirty.
You got to let them tits flop out for the audience to see, okay? You can't be covering them up, even though you're only showing side boob, okay?
Barely showed any side. I feel like she showed more upper boob than anything. And other than that, like, wash your ass. You're nasty.
She was nasty in all kinds of ways.
Yeah, like, you probably had fucking dirt up in there and shit. Gross.
Well, and she had male's dirt up all in her, too, which is a whole other gross thing. But the movie's cheap looking otherwise, but yeah. I mean, for the amount it was made for, I mean, it is what it is.
For 1983, I'm not complaining.
I'll tell you one thing, that last visual will fucking stay with you though.
Yeah, the mouth and the hissing and the dick, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. That was the one scene I was like, Raina's got to see this. Like, she has to see this scene. Like, it is in like horror movie, like, I mean, legend as far as like just the craziest fucking ending for a movie.
Well, the problem was, and my husband did a good job of not letting me know that I was right, is I figured out somewhere, probably right after the scene where she was asking, are you queer, Angela? Is that why you don't shower with us? And I was like, oh, that was the little boy, because at the beginning of the film, when the two kids die, it looked like the boy survived and the girl was fucking blown out of her fucking vest and it was all shredded up. And I was like, the boy lived. That's weird. So when it's a turn of events and you see that it's the girl that lived, I'm like, that doesn't seem right. And then when Judy has her fucking, lines about, are you queer? You don't shower with us. And I'm like, well, if she was queer, she would shower with you. Like, she'd want to see that fucking fine vagina, But I told Noah, I was like, that's actually the boy, or they're making him be a girl, right? And Noah's like, I don't know. I was like, oh, that means yeah, because he would have been like, no, or watch the film or something like that, and he didn't. So I figured it out around that time, so I was kind of expecting it. I knew when she was taking him to the waterfront that he was going to find out that she was a he. I did not know what we were going to see, though, so I wasn't ever going to anticipate that. But I thought that it was pretty scary looking. The way that they have its mouth opened, all weird like that, hissing and blood covered in the fucking dick. Yeah.
That face by Felicity Rose at that scene is horrifying.
It is.
I mean, it really is.
And is that her face? Or is that a dude wearing, like, a mask or something? Because I didn't know if that was really a dude or if she had a prosthetic dick or something.
I would assume it was a prosthetic dick because I'm pretty sure that's her face, but I could be wrong. I didn't see anything to say that it wasn't her, at least.
Yeah, and then, like, I know she's flat-chested, but, I mean...
Funny thing about that, she had, her boobs were more developed. They tightened up, her clothing underneath to make her more flat-chested for that part.
What about when she was full-blown naked, though?
That might have been somebody else. I really
That's
don't
what I
know
was thinking. It was someone else. I was thinking it was a body double or something.
Yeah, it might be because, like I said, it's in the trivia. They had to use all kinds of stuff to basically smush down her tits.
Which that's fine. I get that. Which is funny because how old was she in this film? I know that Judy was actually fucking 16 years old, or 13 or 16.
Judy might have been 16. Felicity Rose was 13. Like, she was one of the few people in a horror movie that's actually the age she's supposed to be in the movie.
Sleepaway Camp Part 1 is 1983. So Judy was born in 1970. She was 13 years old in this film. She looked like she was fucking 20.
Judy was too. Yeah, she looked older, quite a bit older.
Yeah, no, I was like, how fucking old is she? They had these girls playing aside from Angela, they had Judy playing a hoe. Damn.
Yeah. She was working all the guys. I mean, she was getting with Ricky. She was getting with, what's his name that was at Paul. She was trying to get, she was kissing him at one point. I mean, she was working all the dudes in this camp.
And you know what's funny about this movie is that all of a sudden she's super popular because she has tits, which barely anything in this film. But back in the day, that is like, guys think that those are the biggest juggies they done ever seen on a girl in person,
Well, wasn't that the line when Paul goes up to Ricky and he says, "Hey, did you see what Judy looks like?" Yeah.
And he's like, "Whoa," like a huge. So I'm thinking I'm going to see some double Ds. I didn't think I was going to see a B at best, But also, she's a little girl. But it's funny because it's like guys really do be getting that way. I remember when I first started sprouting, all of a sudden you got some fucking power. You got some power.
And you continue to have that power for the rest of your fucking
life. Oh, yeah,
life,
you do.
So enjoy it.
No matter what they look like, ladies, don't even worry about it.
So, yeah, visually, I mean, it's on the cheap side, yes. But, I mean, they did a decent job with the budget on the kills. I'll give them that.
Oh, God, the bees looked good, which they didn't show the bees at the time he was, quotation mark, dying. But at the end when they showed the face, which is obviously like some kind of honeycomb fucking mix-up of some sorts. And
yeah,
it worked out. That looked good. I'm trying to think what else. I mean, Angela at the fucking end. Yeah, we just talked about that.
The look of the camp itself, I mean, that is a rundown fucking nasty fucking camp. I mean, it is gross.
Well, the fucking owner is run down himself, and he's more worried about keeping it barely going, hanging by a thread, But I'll be honest with you, like, my kids they were going to a really nice camp. Out here, they don't do much to maintain the fucking cabins or anything. You get an old rickety building, and I don't know how they stay warm because fuck, like it'd be cold over there.
Story wise, it's it's charming. I'll put it that way because it's both a really fucked up, like the beginning of it's just out of nowhere, like those people getting ran, the dad and the kid, the boy, or I mean the little girl getting ran over by the boat because the one lady, she's just not even looking where she's driving. She's just like, yeah, how are you doing? Like, thanks for letting me take control of the boat, like looking off to the side. And then even the one who's on the, the skis behind her is like, there's people, you bitch.
Yeah.
Fuck out. Like it's,
she was annoying.
laughable.
just nonstop. We killed a family. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, shut her up. Somebody hit her with the goddamn boat. God.
We killed them. Oh my God, we killed a family. So anyways, all of that's like really just like really campy, but
Yes.
when you get into the actual camp itself, they really play it fairly straight. I mean, as far as like, because I mean, everybody's making fun of bullying Angela, which makes sense because of how weird she is and how much she stands out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's scary to think of, but I mean, there probably are pedophiles like Artie at some of these places that, especially if Mel's not doing his background checks, to see who's working there.
Yeah, probably not. That costs too much money.
And the fact that Mel's trying to cover up the murders because he doesn't want to lose money, I mean, that's very realistic.
He wants to make sure the parents are the kids are gonna return the next year,
Yeah, I mean, so even though it's got campy elements to the story, they actually play it fairly straight once it gets into the actual camp itself.
Yeah.
Acting wise, it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, the bitches were bitches for sure. I think Angela did a good job.
Angela did a good job. Ricky was fine. I mean, like, I actually believed you get the idea. He's just a regular boy that, and he feels bad for his cousin and he's trying to look out for her.
Yeah.
So,
definitely.
Artie was a little over the top with his pedophilia.
Yes.
Ben, the other cook, like, I mean, he's kind of a stereotype. I mean, I hate to say it, but he really is, but it is what it is. And the Mel, like, I mean, you can tell he was a character actor. I mean, he was playing the part the way he was. But yeah, I mean, we've seen worse acting in bigger budget films. We really have.
Yeah.
I mean, I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Shut up.
And music. The music's fine.
Yeah, it went fine with the times and everything. It wasn't too cheesy.
Yeah, I mean, it actually had a nostalgic feeling to it.
Yeah.
At a lot of points. So, yeah, I mean, is there anything else you want to discuss with any of that stuff? Or, I mean, we'll get into it more in the Death Holler Awards, I guess. But,
yeah.
I mean, is there,
No, I mean, I've already said my piece of the fucking annoying-ass aunt, the annoying-ass girl that fucking, hit people with the... God.
Well, she didn't care. It was the girl in the skis that was the one crying about it.
Yeah. So that one, I mean, those were pretty fucking annoying. And I was like, I know that's the 80s, but fuck, man, you forget about those things. They don't really do that too much now,
No, I mean, it's definitely of its time. I mean, it's almost like a little time capsule in that way.
Yeah.
Trivia for this movie. This is Mike Kellen's final film. That's what played Mel. He was sick during filming, but did his best to conceal it. He died of lung cancer in '83, 3 months before the film's release.
God damn.
August of '83.
Yeah, he had a droopy ass face, and he didn't look well.
No, he didn't. I mean, his skin even had like a, one of that color you get whenever you're really sick.
A grayish tone almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Willie Cuskin, who plays one of the bullied campers, he's the one with the glasses, that's always getting picked on.
Oh, yeah.
Was genuinely bullied by the other kids during filming. Frank Trent's Saladino, who played a camp counselor, had to step in when the other cast members took things too far. So they were actually bullying that poor kid.
Well, one thing that the hubby said is, look at how skinny these kids are. And this bullied kid who was he was thick, but he wasn't fat. He was the fat kid. And it just shows you how far we've come along in America in terms of obesity.
It really does.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody who was overweight as a kid in the 80s, whenever that wasn't a thing, I can tell you it's really weird to see how things have escalated the other direction.
It's like, you think that's overweight? Ooh, buddy, you should see the future.
The film became an unexpected hit and something of a cult favorite for horror movie buffs. It made 30 times more than that was spent on it.
That was fucking insane.
Jonathan Tiersten was given the role of Ricky after an unusual audition in which writer-director Robert Hiltzik asked Jonathan to curse him out. And that's one of my favorite parts of the movie, but I could not find any, the quotes online of it, is whenever the one kid throws the water balloon at Angela.
Yes.
Ricky goes on like a 5-minute tirade throwing every curse word that you can imagine at that kid. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, he does not stop. It's like, it's perfect.
Yes.
They even come in, their camp counselors are like, whoa, mouth, like, watch it, kid.
Yeah.
As a child, writer-director Robert Hiltzik actually went to the camp used in the film.
Oh, that's cool.
Felicia Rose, Karen Fields, and Catherine Cammey, who played Angela, Judy, and Meg respectively, were actually all quite close during filming. Catherine Cammey said the scene where they throw Angela in the water was hard for her to shoot for that reason.
Oh, that's hella funny.
She actually liked her.
Yeah.
Felicia Rose was only 13 at the time, which is unusual for a feature film. Studios usually cast actors 18 and over who look younger because of restrictions on using actors under 18 for extended hour shoots. Also at 13, she was too young to see her own movie in theaters.
Oh my God! Wait, without parents though, right? Like, could she have gone with her parents?
I don't know, because things were different back then. Like if they've certain ratings, I don't even know, because I don't know if PG-13 was even a rating back in those days.
Yeah.
So if it was R, they were pretty specific about what they allowed.
Yeah.
She said in an interview that she wore a bra designed to keep her breast flat as a board, although she joked that she was only 13, so there wasn't much to flatten anyway.
Yeah. Back then, when people were actually in better shape, the boobs that you got weren't like they are now. It was rare.
There's also some, I mean, I don't know if you want to call it conspiracy theory. There is some truth to it, because even scientists admit that there's hormones due to like pills and stuff that's in the water, regular drinking water, that are causing girls in particular to, become mature at younger ages than previously.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I believe it. So.
The movie was shot in early fall. It was set in midsummer. You can tell it's early fall too if you look in the background, because I was noticing this. The trees are changing color.
Oh, yeah.
So the crew often used green spray paint on brown leaves and grass to keep continuity.
That's so funny.
Some of the campers getting off the buses at the beginning of the film are relatives of the cast and crew. The police officer entering the rec hall at the end of the film wears a fake mustache. The reason being that he had shaved his actual mustache during filming and didn't have enough time to grow it back.
Oh my God! And he had one scene where he just had this horrific look on his face.
The original artwork for Sleepaway Camp Survival Kit DVD box set, which included the unauthorized sequels, was recalled after the American Red Cross complained about its trademarked Red Cross logo appearing on the cover.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Director Robert Hiltzik dedicated the movie to his mother, who died before production began. The financial inheritance from her death provided the bulk of the movie's funding.
Wow. That money well spent.
Yeah, I mean, he made quite a bit off of it. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's, Felicia Rose does not speak her first line in the movie until 31 minutes into the film.
Yeah.
She was paid $5,000 for her performance in the movie.
Damn.
When casting the role for Angela, Robert would have the actresses stare wide-eyed and straight ahead while also pretending to eat a candy bar. Felicia Rose's relatives appear as background campers getting off the buses, which was previously mentioned. I mean, a bunch of the other ones too.
Yeah.
While filming the scene in which the canoe flips over in the lake, John E. Dunn cut the top of his hand open against the sharp rock on the lake bottom and had to be rushed to the hospital.
Shit.
The Catherine Cammey, who played Meg, and Thomas E. Vandell, who played Mike, Kenny's friend, dated during filming. She said she thought he was going to be the next Robin Williams because he was so funny.
Oh, no, I'm just kidding.
Felicia Rose and Jonathan Tiersten developed a romance during filming, but broke up soon after. He was 17 and she was 13 at the time.
Gross.
And also they're cousins in the movie, so it's even weirder.
Yeah.
Whatever. During filming of the scene where Artie hits Ricky against the shelves in the pantry, Artie actually had to repeatedly slam Ricky against the shelves. At the end of the filming, he had lines on his back because they had to keep doing it so many times.
Oh, my God.
Loris Salian, who was 19 at the time, said During filming the skinny dipping scenes was tough for a lot of reasons. For one, the production schedule was pushed back farther in the fall, so when they filmed at 1 a.m., it was very cold.
Yeah.
Also, he agreed to do the nudity the scene required, but he was also very shy. They only showed their butts on camera, but he and the other guy still had to be totally naked.
Yeah.
And to make matters worse, it was supposed to be a closed set, but somebody forgot to tell the locals
Oh,
who
shit.
had set up picnic baskets and lawn chairs along the lake to watch the action.
Oh, my God.
Slayan said that the sight of a bunch of naked guys bouncing into the freezing water set them into some rather questionable behavior. It got so bad he ended up walking off set till the director finally coaxed him back. But he told the director that he would only film the scene where he groped himself at the girls for running off after the guys came out of the lake if he could wear underwear.
Yeah.
Originally, he had agreed to do it naked. The director agreed.
Okay, so wait, what happened? Who had questionable behavior? The guys? Or the people watching?
I want to say it was the locals.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Holy crap.
The movie and this movie and Friday the 13th Part 3 inspired Weird Al Yankovic's song Nature Trail to Hell. Both films feature the cutting up of campers and an ending you have to see to believe.
Oh, my God.
Young Peter is played by Maximo Gianfranco Sorrentino, the older brother of Mike the Situation Sorrentino of MTV's Jersey Shore fame. Rare is the slasher whose victims are almost all between 12 and 15. Also, a couple of people get attacked but not killed, which is also rare for a slasher.
Yeah.
And then 3 original songs were used in the movie, but only one was released on soundtrack album.
Okay.
Death Holler Awards. Final Girl isn't one. So,
yeah.
I mean, there just isn't. Because her slasher is Angela Baker. I mean, the transsexual slasher, as it were.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons why I said that I think this movie might be canceled these days, even though it's given representation, negative representation for whatever reason in that group is usually like nixed, so they wouldn't allow the killer to be, transsexual.
Yeah.
What'd you think of Angela as far as like, her reasons for killing her and everything else?
I mean, she was killing the people that were bullying her, so it's kind of cool. It's like a revenge a little bit, but also she's a little psychotic from the traumatic experience she went through as a kid, losing her entire family. I mean, no one really says what happens to her mom, I think, or no, because that's her aunt.
They never mention what happened to mom.
And then 2, being forced. It's one thing if a child into adulthood knows that they wanted to be the opposite sex. I do believe that's a thing, but in this case, it's looking like what a lot of us are assuming, that somebody forced them into believing that, or they were traumatized into wanting that,
Yeah, they were either because the parent or the caregiver decided that that's what they wanted for the person. It wasn't really what the actual child themselves wanted for, or thought that they're identified with as far as their gender.
So you could see that if someone's forcing you to do something against your will your whole life, it's gonna fuck you up a little bit,
It's a weird situation. I mean, it's not like, and going with what you said, if forcing against your will, like it. I could see the argument if somebody, felt that they were always a female and they were a male, and they their parents refused to acknowledge that could, cause problems later on. But it's just as bad the other way. Like if they never really had an opinion, or they, or they felt that they were male and somebody else picked their gender for them, it's just as bad.
Exactly.
Best kill. I've got several for this. Visually, I think Meg's is one of the best. Just the way the knife is sliding down her back or whatever in that scene. Most satisfying because we're claiming it as a kill is Artie.
Yes.
Straight up. And creative is Judy's, because I guarantee you we'll never see another curling iron shoved in a cooch in another movie.
And I was thinking too, probably the worst part of that is that she likely didn't die, but she died.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, that wouldn't be enough to kill you, but you'd probably want to be dead after that.
Yes, I mean, I don't know how you fucking recover from that.
No, not really. I mean, maybe that's where that movie Judy comes from, is the assumption that she didn't die from that because it's really not enough to kill a person, but like somehow it fucked her up. Like,
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Oh my God. And it's funny because I was like, oh my God, I told Noah, I was like, yeah, that looks like, that's kind of like those duck bills they use at the fucking gynecologist's office, you know? And he goes like,
the little speculum.
yeah. And he's like, yeah, but I guarantee you it's not on fire. And I was like, no, it still sucks though.
Is there any other kills that you thought were? I mean, I could see the bee one for sure. I mean,
I
like
thought, for me, the bee one was the best. It was the worst for me at first because I'm like, fuck, we don't even get to see this. But then you see his body plop over, and it's like, oh, but in death he could break that fucking piece of wood that was holding him in, but he couldn't do it while he was being attacked by the bees.
Yeah, it was kind of like he was caught between the two of them.
I think visually it just looked so good. Like Noah said that he thought that the back one wasn't too bad either. It looked good because you see her plopped over and obviously she's all washed up and everything. I thought it looked a little plain, I don't know.
Yeah, I just, to me, it looked, I mean, as she was doing the kill, like the way that they got the knife to slide down her back, because I agree, like the body afterward, it looked good. I mean, especially for the budget, but it was not like the best thing we've ever seen with regards to that.
Yeah.
Best scream, I'm gonna say best grunt, and that's Angela holding the severed head at the end of it as she's hissing or whatever.
Yeah, that shit's creepy as fuck. I've never had a scream or whatever that was like scary. Like there's screams that are good because you're being chased and you're being hunted, whatever. But this one, oh my God, that was, it sticks with you.
It really does. I mean, that image.
And that image, you know what that reminds me of? And I don't know if it's the same with you, but remember Lights Out?
Yes.
Does it not remind you of that monster?
It kind of does.
Okay,
yeah, it
good.
Really does.
I'm glad you're with me on that one because I was like, that's what I was thinking when I saw it. And then there's the weird noise that it's making. I'm like, ugh.
Humanitarian award given to Angela. I mean, yes, we're giving a humanitarian award to Slasher for killing Artie.
Well, here at Death Holler, we give credit where credit is due.
I mean, he was straight up talking about molesting these children. He deserved everything coming to him.
And like them to be hairless. And what was up with the counselor that brought Angela to him? That was creepy.
Oh my God. It's like, hey, we've got this little girl here that needs something that is kind of, in her own little shell. How about you open her up? And it's like, no, what are you doing?
She don't speak either, so... Oh God.
And I think maybe Artie even made a comment about that's even better that she wouldn't speak because then she, he would get more out of it or something. He just deserved it.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
Best boobs, not really applicable, but you do kind of see Meg's side boob a little bit and the top of her boobs.
Yeah, and at least she's 18 because I would not have wanted to see any 13-year-old boobies. Although I don't know that we saw, for what they're worth, Angela's at the end. I think they were covered by hair.
If we did, they were basically a boy's boobs. I mean, they.
Well, yeah,
whatever.
Because I think it was a different person's body. Okay, there's a picture of it. It was definitely a dude's body.
Yeah.
That's not a girl's body.
So that might have been like a face they made up to look like Felissa Rose.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, because because she is just a twig, and the person they show with his dick hanging out, he's got broad ass shoulders, fucking strong ass arms and everything, and a big old dick.
Best side character, I'm going to give to Ricky because even though he's kind of a main character, but that scene with him cussing for like 5 minutes, man, I love it.
Well, in general, the shit talking that kid does throughout the fucking film is fucking spot on.
It really fit the time too. Like he is one of the best written characters in the movie because he feels like a real kid.
Yeah, and
when it comes to that,
the best thing about him is he's never upset to step in when he needs to. He's never like, ugh, fucking Angela again, He steps in only when he needs to, which means he's trying to give her the benefit of I can handle this, or taking care of herself or whatever, which is the best thing you can do to someone that's a little different, you know?
Yeah. I mean, he's really, I mean, he's a good character. I mean, looking out for her in that sense too.
Yeah.
Franklin Award, I'm giving it to Meg. I mean, between, trying to hook up with Mel for whatever she was going to get out of that situation, and then the way she treated Angela, I mean, she's just a complete bitch. I mean, there's no redeeming qualities to Meg in this movie, like at all. You could probably say the same thing about Judy, but Judy, at least, she was playing her age range as far as the guys that she was trying to emotionally manipulate.
I would say Mel with his trying to cover fucking everything up. And his
yeah, I could kind of see that. I wouldn't disagree with that. I mean, because the Franklin Ward's not necessarily the most hated person in the sense that they're just a scummy person. Because I mean, that would easily be Artie. But,
yeah.
I mean, it's like the most annoying person, and like there's. I could see Mel to a certain degree because like he could have solved that problem before it got any worse, and he just refused. It's like, no.
Let's cover this. Nothing to see here.
Nothing to see here. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, how annoying is Doom Prophet? There's not really one, and Mel's the opposite of a Doom Prophet.
Oh,
because
yeah.
He's actively covering up the murders.
Yeah. No big deal.
It's like, oh, murders? What are you talking about? That kid died by accident. So, yeah, that's what happened.
Oh my God. It's so sad we had to send someone home. Like, bitch, in a body bag.
Well, and that's funny because in part 2, if you watch it, that's how Angela gets by with so many kills, is because where she's a camp counselor in that one, she says that she's sending these kids home. But they're dead out in the cabin in the woods. Like, dumbest moment. There's many. Letting that bitch drive the boat,
yes.
Obviously. Not reporting Artie to the authorities sooner is a dumb fucking, real life moment. And then Mel hiding the murders, obviously. Yes. I mean, that's really stupid because it would have stopped everything.
Fucking Mel.
So what's your opinion on this movie? Because I've got to ask. I was like, she has to see this. Like, this is like, you and
the hubby are just fucking, you're like two little giddy teenagers introducing me to smut or something like that. We got to get her to watch this. And I even asked, I was like, is this the movie that you guys absolutely had to have me watch? He was giddy the whole film. And my consensus on the film is that I enjoyed it. I actually liked this film.
It's actually really good.
It's a good film. Too. Yeah, I laughed. I was intrigued the whole time. It wasn't like really scary by any means. In fact, the only scary scene I'll say was the very end when she's fucking looking like lights out, bitch, That shit was wild. So yeah, it was definitely an enjoyable film. I'm glad I watched it. I think that it went over my head, the stuff that would not be allowed today. 'Cause that's shit that I just laugh at, And I think that's what made it enjoyable.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean, whenever you look at it from that point of view, like, I mean, of today's society and what they, how culture is when it comes to that sort of thing, like people not being of the right, the gender that, they appear or they are biologically, I should say.
Yeah.
I mean, you would think that something like this would be promoted more because I mean, like we said, it is progressive in the sense that the dad is gay. I mean, that's early 80s. I mean, I'm surprised they didn't get flack for that, back in the day.
Yeah. So I think I'm not trans, I'm not gay, I'm not part of any of those communities, Am I in LA? Probably. 'Cause I got some friends, Some people I genuinely care about that make sense of the situation versus what we get in the media. So I will put that out there. But I think that this is a good film for representation because why can't they be the killer? I know it's trying to come off as like, do you want to be the good person? Do you want to be the hero? Or do you want to be like, the villain? Because I want to be the villain.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it's funny you say that because there are several not necessarily like gay or, you know, a part of the LGBT community that are saying this, but they're like, you know, the black community in particular is saying this. There's several roles that they would not allow like black actors to have in recent years because they were the villain. And they were like, that's dumb. The villain is one of the most interesting characters in most, because they're they've got the most complexity to them. I mean, the hero is generally, you know, there might be a reason why they, you know, they're reluctant to be the hero, or they might, you know, but they're usually, I mean, there's less subtlety to the hero than there is the bad guy.
The bad guy, you want to know who they are. How did they become the way they are? How did they get all their power? You know, you're intrigued by them.
And also there's, I mean, whenever you're talking about the villain, you know, there's not just the power that comes with it, but they typically have, I mean, they feel like they're the hero in their own movie or their, you know, property. They're doing it for a reason they think is a good reason in a lot of cases.
Yes.
I mean, like, you look at Angela in this movie, yes, she's the villain, obviously, but like, I mean, she took out a pedophile, first of all, that was going to hurt other kids. Those bullies that were attacking her, I mean, she did not provoke them. She was just there, like trying to, you know, be peaceful about it, and they kept pushing her. So, I mean, it's like there's more to her than, I mean, like, you know, Ricky would be the only true hero in this movie. But I mean, he's a little bit, I mean, but there's less to him than Angela, because, I mean, you know, he's not really, there's nothing for him to overcome or, you know, to deal with.
Yeah. There's barely any, you know, slander or slurs in terms of the gay community. There's one scene where she asked if Angela is queer. And I think that question answers itself, where it's like, well, she's not. Like, she's, if anything, she's being respectful, because her natural feelings are clearly not towards women, even though she has a dick.
Yes.
And if they were, she'd be in there watching you guys.
Yeah, she would be in there covered up somehow, trying to hide, you know, but she realizes that she's got a part that they don't have. And it's not respectful for her to be in there with them. Yeah,
that, or she doesn't want to be. And maybe she's clearly interested in dudes, you know, which I don't know how it goes in the second film. I was half awake watching that. But
she doesn't really, in the second movie, she doesn't really have it, because she goes ultra religious in the second one. And so she doesn't really, she goes the opposite way, that if you're having sex, you're a dirty person, and so therefore you need to die. If she goes that route with it. So, still confused in my opinion, but whatever. Anyways, overall, fucking definitely good film. I'm glad it was not a sleeper, if you will, because it clearly did very well in the box office, and very much deservedly so. Yeah, and and the sequels are liked by people, even though to me they're not as good as the first movie. They really aren't. Yeah, Noah was not enjoying the second one, even though there's a pretty good bouncy booby sex scene. So there's a lot of tits in that second movie. Yeah. I mean, there's one chick in particular at the beginning of the movie that, like, when Angela walks in there, she tells her, she's like, you can function without showing your tits to everybody. And then she makes it a point to flash everybody after that point with her tits. So, I mean, it's more of a traditional slasher. I think this first one is better because it subverts a lot of that stuff. Like the you know, there's a lot in this that you don't get from a lot of other slashers around the same time period. Yeah. But that's it for the first part of this episode. Join us next time for Club Dread and High Tension. And as always, peace be with you. And with your spirit.